Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Hearts of Iron 4 The New Order Last Days of Europe video. We will be playing on the newest update of the mod, which merged with a sub-mod that gives South America stuff to do. I will be playing on everyone's favorite nation, which is Brazil. Also because it's the only country that has content in South America as of now. So in Brazil right now, we are currently led by one former martial law of the Brazilian military, and we are in the PSD, which is a liberal democracy party. We also have a vice president, which is the opposite, a conservative, Januel Quadros. They are locked in a current power struggle between themselves. There's also the worries of the military couping, and so they are trying to keep loyalty as high as possible, but also trying to reduce corruption. Currently, they are trying to build the Trans-Amazonian Highway, which is the most ambitious project in Brazil's history, aiming to provide access to resources in the Amazon interior and create a land route to Peru and Colombia. Right now, it's only 18.1% complete. Now that we have done fireworks in Rio, we have two decisions: to do the economic tree or handle the Lobster War, which we are in against Reichskommissariat Central Africa led by Siegfried Müller. I think it's best if we stop or win the war first. So it's time for Operation Lobster. And now we get two new branches of the focus trees open to us, and we're going to be dealing with the Germans first, and we are going to just send them an ultimatum. So stop the companies. Freedom to distress. Alright, you all know why you're here. Give me some dirt on this cockroach. Carlos Lacerda clapped his hands and wrote a name stop the large backboard at the front of the crowded meeting room. Henrique Lott. Lacerda had set 13 of his best journalists on investigating every dirty deed, backroom deal, and possible scandal Brazil's current president had even possibly been involved in. Now they were ready to present their findings, or rather their lack of findings. What? You've been looking into this report for months now. Give me something. Sir, we regret to inform you that we found almost nothing, sir, as far as we can tell. Lot is clean. The only concrete accusations are all very minor, nothing worthy of even a tabloid. What the hell do you want from us? We can't just make shit up, Lacerda laughed and took back up from his talk. Watch me. Lott seen with woman half his age. Lott patriot or CIA spy. Fraud president steals vote. Lott's bought. On and on, Lacerda wrote, covering the board in eye-catching headlines and random accusations. Lacerda forgot to leave the talk. A line is crossed, boarded, and Brazil wins the World Cup. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce that Brazil has won the World Cup. The small crowd surrounding the radio burst into cheers, a scene mirrored millions of times over as near every Brazilian tuned into the end of the world's biggest tournament. In that moment, Brazil celebrated as one. And now we have fully pacified the Germans, which has removed our negative weekly stability modifier on the Lobster War. We can now move on to the anti-piracy operations. We will work with the governments and deal with the Free Front. The United States have just declared war on Guyana, and will be lodging a formal complaint about this to the United States of America, and Quadros' influence will grow. Alright, while we wait for the pirates to scatter away, we will start with our economic tree, and we'll be doing coffee with Neves first. Neves? Please forgive my pronunciations, guys. I've probably already gave a warning before the start of the video because I don't know how to pronounce Portuguese or Brazilian names. The Go have demanded some weapons. These requests are absolutely ridiculous. No deal, Mr. De Gaulle. Now we have decisions with the economic tree. We could either go with Neves' plan or the Quadros plan. And I think I'm just gonna go for Nevis plan because it gives us free factories and better industrial equipment. And the Argentinian government has been couped by General Poggi. Also, I am pleased to report that we can finally scatter the pirates and finish the Lobster War, so let's get that done first. Now, with both the Germans pacified and the scattered pirates running away, we can finally do the bountiful harvest. The Lobster War has ended in a Brazilian victory. There is a strike from a bunch of dock workers. Am I meant to infer that it won't go on for long, General? We could cut it short if we send in the police. I'm saying that this has become normal. If those workers have been putting up with it for years, they probably can't afford to miss the pay. The owners don't want the police because they think they'll panic in their shareholders. But we have no reasons to get involved either, Mr. President. That's enough from both of you, Lott said. I'll decide shortly. For now, you're dismissed. Workers suffer, industry suffers, Brazil suffers. An army fights his country's battles. I'll be blunt, we prefer it if you hurt us over our bosses. We want a 10% raise to our pensions and a 6% raise to our minimum wage. I don't see you retreating from this anytime soon, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'll meet your demands. And we have ended the dock workers' strike peacefully. Alright, we have now finished pretty much almost all of this part of the economic tree, and we are going to choose industrialize the interior because this gives us free factories. Alright, now that we have industrialized the interior, we can finish the Nevis plan. And with that, we have completed the Nevis plan. We can now move on to form an agricultural commission. We can either investigate the peasant leagues or stop the league crackdowns, and we're going to investigate the peasant league. Alright, and now we can introduce the Agrarian Relief Act to the Senate. If we pass this, we can get the agrarian reforms, which gives us minus 5% consumer good factories, and we probably really need that right now. Also, the South African War has started, and we have a new focus tree over here, and I'm just going to do some of it so we can get free political power here, which is nice. Base. Also, that's a nice portrait. Now that we are holding the votes for the Agrarian Relief Act, we will have to rally some of the parties around us so we can get enough votes to win. And the Agrarian Relief Act passes, a necessary step to level the playing field. And with that, we can now do time for restraint. Alright, we have finished this entire tree over here, and we can now finally just finish off this tree. We're going to convince the legislature for free political power. It appears that the power struggle has fully erupted now that their relationship is volatile. Drawing battle plans. Adhemar, what the hell are you doing here? Adhemar the Barrel smiled slightly. Carlos here thought I would be a use to a little discussion of yours. Quadros concluded that made sense, though he was still displeased. Speaking of, where was the crowd this fine day? At that moment, Lacerda came in from behind, surprising Quadros. You know that weird project of Lott's? That highway? Let's take all the dirt we have about the embezzlement and fraud that's happening on the highway and the fact that Lott hasn't done a single thing about it. Quadros nodded approvingly. That's a great plan, Carlos. And it has reached a boiling point. Quadros threatens resignation. People of Brazil, I have received grave information regarding the running of the Trans-Amazonian Highway project. As this project has proceeded, officials and workers have been ridden down by bribery, extortion, and corruption at every turn. As I believe that our government must focus on the total elimination of corruption and in its functioning, I have made the following two demands for the President. A full investigation into corruption. The total and immediate rectification of any abnormalities in the project. If the president fails to comply with these demands, which are reasonable by any standards, I will have no choice but to resign in order to serve the country through other means than as vice president to a man who will neither fight corruption nor allow others to input in governance. Hopefully that cooks his goose. And with that, Lord has resigned. People of Brazil, due to the recent crisis about corruption in the Trans-Amazonian Highway project caused by corrupt bureaucrats and oligarchs, I am tendering my immediate resignation as President of the Brazilian Republic. It is my earnest hope that Brazilian people will be able to find a new leader able to succeed where I failed and bring Brazil to an era of prosperity. It is finished. And now we've got a new leader, Jânio Quadros, and a new focus tree. And Quadros has failed. Lacerda realized that this meant that he had a shot at the presidency. He shouted in joy and swigged a glass of whiskey. Then, calming down, he sat down and turned to face a corkboard that he had kept with him from his days as a young leftist journalist. He crossed a photo out and took it down, smirking. Another domino falls. Now our leader is Auro de Moura Andrade. We are basically an authoritarian democracy. We are a paralyzed Senate, apparently. And can we no longer... Yep, we can no longer go down this focus tree. Hey guys, the vice president, that lunatic Quadros, just resigned. People looked at each other bemused, with no small amount of confusion. A protester asked his fellows, if both of them are just gone, what's the point of protesting? Maybe we should just go home. No, we have to make our voices heard. Even if they have left, even if the road project collapses, the corruption will still be there. Besides, whatever idiot comes in will probably be just as dirty as the last two. The protesters nodded and started shouting again. And Andrade intervenes. Deputies of the Senate, the situation is grave. By rights, the Honorable João Goulart, President of the Câmara dos Deputados, should assume the fallen mantle of President. But I have determined, after consultation with the appropriate authorities, this means me, myself and I, Auro muttered under his breath, that the constitutional abnormalities prevent him from taking power at this time and it must go to a free vote of the Senate. And the army's ultimatum. The men of the National Army have always stood as guardians, as defenders of the Brazilian nation. We have cherished its democracy, yet we will not let it used by greedy and ambitious men while the republic crumbles. The legislature failed to confirm Mr. Goulart as the next president in the order of succession. It is prerogative, however. No progress has been made on nominating a new leader for the country. The brave soldiers of the National Army implored the Assembly to solve this crisis within 3 months. The gauntlet is thrown. And now we've got Brazil's 100 days. Will they manage to pull it together? And now we have this new focus tree, and we will do Brasilia paralyzed. The 100-day crisis has officially begun. And what is this? What is this? Okay. The 100-day crisis will only be resolved once one of the 4 contenders reach 50% support, becoming an interim president. The military's threat of intervention dangled over the Senate, a sort of Damocles ready to strike if the 100-day period elapses or the political situation grows too unstable. The crisis has not only brought back the president from the political margins, the political right, weakened by its failure from the past decades, has surged back to the limelight. In these troubled times, after all, what better to assuage the fears of the army than a conservative government of the people? After the collapse of Quadros' political fortune, the Austrian Carlos Lacerda resurgent control of the UDN is likely to help in his ambition. In the shadow of your wing, I will take refuge. And now we have 2 decisions. The coalition must hold, or the crow and the bull. And I think the crow and the bull is the more interesting path, and we will do this. The crow and the bull. Ah yes, the infamous event Brazil.337.t. Brazil.337.description. I wonder what this does. "Why are you here?" asked Lacerda before his guest was seated. "My position has not changed since our last round of negotiations." "Calm now, Carlos. I don't come all the way here to enjoy your sunny personality, Oni. Golar is irrelevant and stuck in the south." This time Lacerda's anger wore out. "You fucking piece of shit! Get out!" Anger distorted the UDN leader's trait. The maniac energy remained, however, ambition that burned into an all-consuming fever. Edhemar knew how the other man felt. The phone rang out. Lacerda sighed, picked up the line, and Edhemar smiled deepened. Both had much work to do. The start of a beautiful friendship. Well, that's probably not gonna last. Alright, we have two new choices. We can either go with Edhemar or Lacerda, and I feel like Lacerda is more interesting, and I heard that he can do a very interesting thing for Brazil, so let's go for Lacerda. Alright, it's time that we rush down this focus tree as fast as possible, or else the military will coup in 78 days. Sedation of the highest degree. A bunch of radical goddamn cockroaches disrupting the lives of the good citizens of Brazil. I can hear those bastards chanting from here. Lacerda turned to Easter, his secretary in front of him. "I want you to get some of my men to find out who the organizers of these protests are. Make sure they find out everything about them. Home, addresses, family members, everything." "Yes, sir." "Oh, before you go, you went through the protests to get here today, correct?" "Yes, sir, I did." "Did you see any protests supporting me?" No, sir. I didn't recall seeing anything of that sort." Lacerda was silent for a moment, staring out the window, and then his face darkened. "Tell the police to clear them all out by midday." The oration. "And who is to blame for this crisis? Vultures, fraudsters, felons. The liberals and socialists have spent our country to the border of ruin. The desert they have made of Brazil they call a prosperous republic. Of our nation's institutions, those that still stand after a decade of graft are used as shield against criticism. Is the Brazilian population not entitled to the truth, to honesty? We need the support of the soldiers. Your anti-totalitarian crusade will be nothing but a waste of time and resources. Is protecting our values a waste of resources? Unprovoked attacks on our own people is a waste of resources. A legitimate successor would protect Brazil," replied Lacerda. "A legitimate successor would build up Brazil," Kubitschek calmly retorted. "Brazil will find a successor in protection. Salgado will have his ticket home, and we should have 50.7% support now. Yes, and that have completed. The crowd takes flight. Today, Carlos Lacerda's hour. The 100 days have come to an end. His gambit had succeeded. Quadros had followed Lot into ignominy. Edhemar had been outmaneuvered, and Gertrude's scum had been put in their place. Now, thank God, Lacerda had found safety for himself, for everything that would threaten him. For who was left in Brazil that would presume to attack their president? As Lacerda entered the Congress National as president, he looked around. UDN politicians were, as would be expected from a good, loyal Brazilians, applauding wildly for their leader. A few PSP and PSD people, the more tolerable ones from among them, were also there to salute the new president. Carlos Lacerda, president of Brazil by the grace of his God and the will of the Senate Federal, went up to the front of the Senate's chamber. He looked at the Speaker of the Senate, Oro de Moura Andrade, and nodded. Speaker de Andrade nodded back. Yes, that's planned. And that was part 1 of the Brazil playthrough. Part 2 will be coming up soon and will be uploaded as soon as it is ready. I hope you guys are excited for it, and if you are and have also enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, as it would mean a lot to me and I would appreciate it a great deal. Not to mention that the fact it's free. But anyways, have an awesome day, everybody.